Hello, welcome to the SCGWOR here at the StarCityGames.com Legacy Open in Worcester, part of the SCG Tour, brought to you by Ultimate Guard. I'm Nick Miller alongside former Players Champion Jim Davis. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Now you're playing, I think we got to mention this at the forefront. If you're playing Legacy today, you need to know what this card is.
Yes.
Leovold Emissary of Trust is a card that is
real good.
Really popped up. You know, we had a Legacy Open at the end of last year where this card was just printed and it started to see a little play. Fast forward a couple months later, this card is everywhere.
Yeah, Legacy is a very slow-moving format where people are very hesitant to just jump onto anything new, basically. And people were like, yeah, I'll play one of that card. I'll try that card. That'll go in my flex spot.
Yep.
And now people are realizing that the card's just really, really good. And this deck, I originally had 4. We got it down to 3. But we have more than that. We actually have 6 total.
Leovold really showed up in the GP in Louisville where Reed Duke won with his Sultai control deck. This is a kind of offshoot of that deck. A very good deck that's just looking to play Leovold and True Name Nemesis as soon as it can. You've kind of got a different route here though. Talk about what you're doing.
So I started with Reed's deck. And I know Sam Party also played it at the team open in Baltimore. They were on the winning team. And things just felt weird about it. The Dazes and Wastelands felt awkward because the deck's built around playing 3-drops. So you'd go, normally when you play Delver, you go turn 1 Deathrite Shaman, they play something and you just daze it. And you're so far ahead that's your Delver deck. But you can't do that in this deck because you're trying to play 3s and 4s. So I didn't like the Dazes. The Wastelands felt awkward with Leovold especially because I can't cast it. And the Noble Hierarchs, they weren't really doing it for me. It felt like you just had a lot of mana dudes and not a ton of action all the time if they answered your 1 card. So I decided to try Green Sun Zenith instead. So Green Sun, of course, can get Dryad Arbor and be your mana accelerator, but also can get your Tarmogoyfs and your other package cards, as well as Leovold. So we have 3 Zenith and 3 Leovold, and the deck is called Big Leo 6.
All right, no one knows what that means.
Big Hero 6, Big Leo 6. He doesn't get it. The viewers get it.
I'm a heartless old man. I don't understand the kids' movies these days.
Kids these days and their movies.
But it's interesting because we've seen this Green Sun package before. Back in the day, we were playing, Bant decks. So you would have your, kind of Stoneforge Mystic along with your Green Sun package. You would kind of have this, Maverick feel, but you also could do some crazy things with, Crater Hoof and all that. You're just going the strict value game, trying to get as many copies of Leovold in your deck as possible, and then you kind of have this value tutor engine in the late game.
Right. See, it's a Noble Hierarch. It's also a Tarmogoyf. Because the problem is if you just draw 2 or 3 Noble Hierarchs in the kind of late game, it's good, it attacks for 1, exalted or whatever, but could do better. So having your Lana or Elf, which is weaker than Noble Hierarch, also be a Deathrite or Tarmogoyf or Scavenging Ooze or Leovold or the spicy sideboard cards we'll get to, is just a very, very effective thing.
You're hurting my heart a little bit. I'm a big Noble Hierarch fan, but we'll let it go because you got enough going on here that'll win you over. We also have Jace. Now this is another kind of the staple of Reed's deck, Reed Duke's deck. But we haven't seen a lot of decks play this many copies of Jace. Even Miracles only runs 2 copies, 3 copies. This is kind of your win con when you're supported by all these great value creatures.
Yeah, I think Jace is actually, it's kind of referred to as a control card. I think it's almost better as a tempo card. It was played in a lot of the Lotus Culver decks back in the day, where you're playing sort of a forward proactive plan, and then you're able to play Jace, you're already kind of ahead, and then Jace sits in play and you can't lose. Miracles is trying to play defensively and get to a stable spot to cast Jace. We can just cast Jace on turn 3 or even turn 2, thanks to a spicy one you got there on the right.
Right. This is the other thing we got to talk about. Chrome Mox. Now you're not a Wasteland deck, but you have a couple extra slots running around here. This gives, you don't have Noble Hierarch, but you can still ramp via Chrome Mox and Deathrite Shaman.
And a Zenith. So we actually have 9 pieces of acceleration. And it felt like casting Leovold early is just great. Obviously it locks out their brainstorms and stuff, but it's just card advantage. So if they bolt it, it's 2 for 1. So I felt like with Jace and Leovold and Painful Truths, and the threat density that the card disadvantage of Chrome Mox to be okay. This deck actually started with 4 Leovold and 4 Chrome Mox. So the idea was just I want to have a Leovold on turn 2 every game.
Yes.
And then the extra ones can go on Chrome Mox, and Chrome Mox can tap for 3 different colors. Which is pretty cool.
That's a nice effect there.
Looking forward to that one.
There's almost nothing more satisfying in Legacy right now than just resolving Leovold.
Right.
Because you're just no matter what happens now, we're at parity because they have to deal with this. I'm going to draw a card.
Right.
And it shuts down so many things.
Right. It's very, very. I can't think of many clean answers to it. I guess like Terminus.
If it's your only creature, Diabolic Edict, I guess.
Well, they're targeting
it does target.
Right. It's like you think of stuff like that, and you're like, nope, that one too. Nope, draw a card.
You forget to draw cards a lot of the times because everything that targets you, you just forget sometimes.
Yeah, I have
Schadenpoint, Wasteland, all these things.
I haven't played it offline yet, so hopefully I won't miss too many things. Obviously, Magic Online's pretty friendly in that regard.
You can never miss.
Right, Magic Online's like, hey, you were targeted with that Thoughtseize, or so on and so forth.
I think my favorite interaction is Thought-Knot Seer. When they target you, you get to draw a card. When it dies, you get to draw 2 cards because it also targets you on the way out.
Really?
Yeah. Got to read that second line because it says...
That's cool. See, I might have missed that.
Yeah,
thank you.
It's very good. All right, we also have just all the good blue cards in here. Ponder, Force of Will, Brainstorm. You got a Flusterstorm running around here as well, and then your removal package, Fatal Push, another new card that's also making big waves in Legacy right now. Cheap answer, can kind of answer Tarmogoyf all the way up to, 4 drops, which there aren't many in the format.
Yeah, my old Sultai Delver deck used to play 2 Disfigure, which showed the importance of having a 1-mana kill spell. Fatal Push is a little bit better.
A little bit better.
Tiny bit.
All right, so let's move on to the sideboard, because this is what you want to talk about. You got some sweet tutor targets here.
We do.
We've got Nimble Mongoose as a one-of in the sideboard. So, what is going on here?
So against Miracles, like, Mongoose is one of the better cards against them. They can't Swords it, Snapcaster can't block it, they can't Jace bounce it. Just like, very, very good. One of the best cards in the Teamer Delver deck against Miracles is Mongoose. So, and their way to kill it is Terminus, which puts it back into your deck. Coincidentally, so you can get it again with your Zenith. So, I felt like a really good, like low cost, high value target in the Miracle matchup. Yeah, it just seems great.
It's almost the only card that makes Teamer Delver palatable against Miracles because they just eat the Delver decks alive outside of that card.
Right, yeah. Teamer Delver I think is probably the best Delver deck against Miracles because they have Mongoose and they also have Stifle, which can stifle the Terminus triggers and so on and so forth.
Some other tutor targets, we got Rex Sage here. This kind of just comes up and blows up whatever you need. Tireless Tracker, another standard all-star showing up here.
Ever printed.
That's a little
You
much.
heard it here first. Nope, best card ever printed. Tireless Tracker. Don't care. Don't care. Tireless Tracker is the best. It just sits in play and you just draw a million cards and then it becomes huge. It's like same idea as Leovold too, where if you play land. I mean, obviously we all play this card in standard. Legacy's a little more unforgiving of a format. I really wanted to play it main, like really, really bad, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. The deck's already pretty grindy. The deck's very fair and seems very good in fair matchups. Seems a little rougher in the combo-y matchups as we're lacking, Daze and Spell Pierce and stuff. So I decided to just play the Flusterstorm over the Tracker main deck. But any grindy matchup's going to be insane.
Speaking of the combo matchups, this is where your kind of sideboard comes into play. You got 4 Thoughtseize, and you have 2 Surgical Extractions along with 2 Pithing Needle. This is where you're kind of making up your edges against the combo decks.
Yep, absolutely.
Then some other things. You have another kill spell here, Deadweight. Now, do you have a Delirium package or something? Why is this just not another Fatal Push?
So Deadweight is very good in the Delver matchups where they're playing Gurmag Angler. Because once it goes into the graveyard, your glyphs are now going to default as a 5/6, not a 4/5. The reason Angler is so good is the 5/5 matches up well with Tarmogoyf. So the Deadweight kind of pushes it up 1 notch. So now it's 5/6, and now it's going to be managed.
So it does have that edge of pumping the Tarmogoyf when you need it. Right. And of course you have Dread of Night and a Marsh Casualties. These are just your kill a lot of creature cards.
Yep, Dread of Night's very good, obviously, against the Death and Taxes deck. You can bring it in against the Mentor decks too, like Miracles, but mostly for Death and Taxes. And then Marsh Casualties, kill a lot of elves with that one.
Kills elves, also a good way to get rid of opposing True Name Nemesis.
Yes, that's also true.
All right, so do you got a lot of reps with this deck, or is this something you kind of brewed up and you've just been itching to play?
Want me to lie to you or tell you the truth?
Tell the truth, of course.
3 matches.
All right.
I had a wedding last night. My good friend Brian got married, and I tried to sneak in a match before the wedding. My opponent was taking 5 minutes for every action. I had to concede the match and go to the wedding.
All right.
So
priorities.
We got a few. Yeah, I mean, this actually started because I played my old Sultai Delver deck in a league when I was streaming earlier in the week, and I went 0-4. And I was just like, I'm gonna try something else.
The times have changed.
Yeah, and then I played Reed's deck in a league. I went 4-1, but I just felt like I wanted to change some things, and here we are, playing Chrome Boxes and Nimble Mongoose on our sideboard.
All right, well, you have 2 buys. What are your predictions for this weekend?
I'm going to do great.
All right, you heard it here first. Gonna do great. You got Chrome Box, Leovold, Nimble Mongoose. Jim, thanks for joining me here in the sideboard.
Thanks for
Stay
having
tuned
me.
to StarCityGames.com all weekend long for the action here in Worcester.